let's slide on over to Star Wars Celebration right before we hit our reviews. Uh, we've been talking about what direction Star Wars films are going to be headed um, post Mandalorian, right? Within the next couple years, and we have three major films that are that were introduced during Star Wars Celebration. Um, there's one that really excites me, and there's one I don't care for, and there's one that I'm somewhat excited about. So the first film is a James Mangold film, one of our favorite directors. James Mangold, you should be thinking Walk the Line. You should be thinking about Logan. He's doing Swamp Thing, right? In the DCU under James Gunn. And he's also going to be directing a Star Wars film about the first Jedi that's described as a biblical epic. This is going to be his Star Wars film inspired by Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments, two of like the most critically acclaimed films that have ever been released, ones that have lasted the test of times. James Gold said, quote, Mangold said, it's a chance to tell the entire story of its own, the birth of the Force, where did it come from, how was it found, who was the first Jedi, end quote. James Gold's era for a Star Wars film was called The Dawn of the Jedi, happening centuries, thousands of years even before the events of The Phantom Menace. We've also got a Dave Filoni film coming. Dave Filoni, known for the animated Star Wars realm, also a key writer on The Mandalorian, and he's going to be a big time, I guess he's showrunner pretty much for Ahsoka alongside Jon Favreau. And
Yeah, they're like a good duo.
he's directing the film that culminates the events of the Mandoverse. So we're getting Filoni his first major feature, and then it's going to tie it up in MCU style. Okay, with Mando, Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, ends with a movie. And then the third film is from Charmin Aubert Chenoy. She's going to follow the establishment of a new Jedi Order. It's set 15 years after the rise of Skywalker. Daisy Ridley, excuse me, is set to return as Rey. Rey is going to be the one rebuilding the Jedi Order. Ricky Flex, let's talk James Mangold first. Holy crap. I'm in love with this project. This is something I've wanted Star Wars to do for so long. It almost feels like an Elseworlds that DC has done with Joker and the Batman. Star Wars has talked about, and Kathleen Kennedy is like kind of going away from the Skywalker saga. There's one film especially here that's doing so that feels like it's really expanding the Star Wars universe, both on a timeline and just it's so unique and different from anything we've ever seen. And it couldn't be more perfect from a guy who did Logan that felt so different in the superhero genre, using a character we were so familiar with. This is going to be gold, Ricky Flex. Initial reactions to James Mangold's biblical epic Jedi movie.
This is a topic that like us as Star Wars fans have always wanted. Like this
So
is just
juicy.
like, first Jedi, prime Jedi. This is just something that we've always wanted to see. And I think now where this is like an era that has barely been covered by Star Wars so far, right? There's not really a lot of IP to go off of. I love that they picked James Mangold to do it, to be honest. Gives him the creative freedom to do James Mangold things that we've seen in Ford versus Ferrari, we've seen in Logan, we've seen in Walk the Line. So from a directorial standpoint, I love this. From a project standpoint, I love this. And I think like the questions come now. It's like it's too early to do this, but like who will play this Jedi? Will it be I think it should be a biopic type of story, similar to
Character
what
study.
James Mangold, like what James Mangold does so well. Like we just talked about Logan, Ford versus Ferrari, Walk the Line. Like that's what he does. So like I think this should just be. I think that's why he's probably been picked to do it, because this Jedi, it's the prime Jedi. He's gonna be building the first Jedi temple, most likely, right? It's gonna be 25,000 years before A New Hope. Like this is something that we are not accustomed to whatsoever, and he'll probably be like a gray Jedi, which we'll explore more in detail. We saw a glimpse of that in The Last Jedi with Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker, but like we're gonna see that balance of the dark side with it, not just like the light, but the dark side. So it's gonna be like a topic that Star Wars fans we've been biting at the teeth to try to get, biting our lips for. And I think that they picked a great person to helm this project. And I think overall, this is the most exciting thing that came out of Star Wars Celebration this past weekend.
100%. I'm not sure if all like fans will feel like that for Star Wars, because people that are have an adoration for what Star Wars has done recently and in the animation sphere. They're really looking forward to the Dave Filoni film, especially with the prospects of like having Mandalorian
Yeah, but we've
and
seen
Grogu
that.
there. Right, but I'm saying more about people that adore the animated series that want to see the characters that they've grown up watching in live action form coming together and like Rebels and things like that. I think it's an amazing opportunity for them. But people like us, like this is like it feels so different. The vibe is so different. You can go away from what people are intensely familiar with or have gotten sick of, and you can have a different tone for this movie. And I don't think they could have picked someone better. And they were lucky enough that this guy is doing the Dial of Destiny, the most recent um, Indiana Jones film for Lucasfilm. So he
Mhm.
was already going to be there. Like he is tightly intertwined with Lucasfilm at this time. These are the type of directors you want associated. So yeah, I wonder if we're getting the first Jedi. Does that mean we're going to see like the first maybe like someone else that comes in his footsteps that acts as a Sith? Like it just seems like there's so many different directions they can go. There's not much. There's like no established movie lore or show lore. It might be in the books of some kind, but it feels like there's a lot of freedom for Mangold to kind of build what he wants to, and it's just the prestige and the weight of James Mangold's name gets fans excited as opposed to like a Taika Waititi, right? Who's pretty divisive right now in the blockbuster
Mm.
sphere. James Gold is just more reliable and he's trusted and he has all my support.
Right. Like I think with this film, it's gonna be weird because like I'm pretty sure I don't know if they'll get into developing the Jedi code, but like the founders of the Jedi code and everything, I don't know if they'll be involved here, which I kind of like. Let's focus on this one person. So I don't know when the first Sith gets involved, but I'm pretty sure like the Prime Jedi like is like a kind of a balance between the two. Is why I mentioned the Gray Jedi. So like I
Okay.
don't know if there'll be a Sith involved here
Mhm.
unless there's like a time jump or something like that
That's why it
in the
could be more
movie.
of a character study as well, just as a
Right.
Jedi, and there is no direct oppositional Sith.
And
That's
him
why it's like
figuring
it
out
could
the
be
balance or something like that.
right. It doesn't have to follow the template of a prototypical Star Wars movie,
Right. That
right?
creative freedom that I was talking about with Mangold, like he has that with this movie. And it kind of just he could set up the time barriers to kind of sort it all out. And I think you could find conflict even with just a character study, even though like it's not like a direct light and dark side. There could be conflict between like should we even have a Jedi
Maybe
order?
it's the first Jedi that has to decide,
Yeah,
right?
right,
Whether
exactly.
he's going to like use this power for good, right? For the better of right this world. I think you could do something literally incredible.